All right, so I'm here with Victor and Lasse, two high-profile people when it comes to the real estate market. And let's just get into it. Would you start by maybe presenting yourselves?
Sure, yeah. My name's Victor. I work here at Equity Real Estate based in Dubai. I'm head of developer sales. We set this team up, I'd say, a year ago now. We've tried to create the best team possible. It's a very small bunch. The guys we bring in here are as good as it gets.
Yeah, I've been in real estate for more than 18 years. So I had my own company. I was with Home and Nybo, some of the biggest agencies in Denmark. And I met Victor when that was in June after I think that was my second month in real estate here in Dubai. So since I met Victor, we have always talked about doing some business together. And since he called me back in November 2025, I've been a part of this journey with Victor and the team.
So one of the things that I would really like to hear your views on is like access. That's one of the key words when it comes to real estate, because obviously there's a lot of people who want to make money in real estate, but access is really the key. So can you try and go into a conversation about what do you try to do to get access to the right people, both on the development side, projects, but also getting access to the buyers? Like, can you try and share some insight on what is your view as a team manager and your view as like a individual, like 100?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the company brand here is very strong. We pride ourselves on our brand. We think it's very polished, very professional. That comes across very well. There's plenty of competition out there, but I'm sure there isn't much competition that can sort of match our level when it comes to branding. But that's first and foremost. And then underneath that is obviously the brokers that work here. If you was to call our brokerage and you was just going to speak to one of our brokers, I think you'd notice a difference immediately compared to most in the market.
How so?
Well, experience. We only take on experienced brokers, people that have been here for 3 years minimum and that have succeeded in the industry. We don't have a recruitment department at all. We don't work with a recruitment company either. We recruit, from the managers. So for example, me with my team, I am the recruitment, but I'm not mass recruiting. We'll take on maybe 1 or 2 people every 6 months and they have to be the right fit. We've made some mistakes along the way. And obviously, nobody's perfect. I'm not saying it hasn't worked for us or the employee. However, it just hasn't gelled as such. And obviously they've moved on, we've moved on. We have a team now of about 12 to 15 specialist off-plan agents. We don't particularly want to grow too much more as a team.
What?
I'm all about quality. Quality over quantity all day long for me. And it's working. I think the sales the transactions that we've completed in the last 6 months, we can go toe to toe with companies of 200 employees, just between 15 of us. So why change it?
Wonderful. Lasse, can you try and, what is your experience when like you have some big brokerage firms where there's like 200 employees compared to, because you told me that you've been in that kind of environment, like the transition to getting into this kind of environment. How do you see that?
I think also I wanted to mention that when we are specialists, we also help each other. Now, Victor and I is coming from bigger agencies. And when you have a journey with the client, first and foremost, you have to qualify, you have to build the rapport. But when he wants that unit, that is only 50% of my work, which has been done when he said, Lasse, I want on 3rd floor, the corner unit, that apartment, this is what I want. The last 50 or even 60, maybe 70% is to get that unit. So for your question from start, when you said, what about the developers and what about as a team? Here it's very unique that each and of is helping each other. We are going to support each other. We do what it takes to sort this out. I'm a big believer about energy on a high frequency where we can move mountains together. That is the feeling that I have being a part of this team with my brothers.
Okay. So you mentioned this about brotherhood and actually feeling like being part of a team. You as team manager, you must have experienced like bad environments and like good environments. So how do you see like the process of creating an environment where you get top performers to want to stay? Because obviously, if you take a look at like owning Manhattan with Ryan Serhant, one of the biggest problems he has, everyone is trying to take away your talent. Like, so how do you, first of all, now you said it's recruitment. When you don't focus so much on getting a lot of people in, it's very important that you keep the top players here. So how do you go about creating a culture that they want to stay?
It certainly comes down to the recruitment in the first place. I have to have, and it sounds very basic, a gut feeling of someone. I need to have a sort of a certain energy from them to know that maybe we can keep this partnership for a long period of time. Trust me, we have a long queue of people wanting to get into this door. Some, which are fantastic brokers that have been very successful, but it doesn't work for me, and I don't think it would gel with the team. The team is the number one. It's not an individual game for us. The day I came in here, I explained to everyone in our team, I said, there is no competition within these walls. The competition is outside of these walls. And if we work together as a team, as Lasse said, we will move mountains. And it's very important, especially with developer sales, to have a strong team in order to create that strong bond with developers also. The developers don't necessarily want to focus on one or two individual agents. If they can identify one of the strongest teams in the market, they'll want to create that relationship.
Okay. I think if I should add it as an employee of the team is that I'm so amazed and I'm smiling and I'm laughing every day when I see the characters on the team. The way, I don't know how you've done it, Victor, but these characters, we have an amazing Batu from Turkey. He's just absolutely his own kind of style. We have other guys, they are just, they trust, their own DNA. And they make all of these unique individuals. When they're going to be put together, it's really kind of a synergy, and the energy is very special in that room.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you come from, what your background is, what your culture is. I just get a feeling for somebody. And, Batu, yourself, Josh, Liam, Dylan, we're all very different people, but we gel very well, we get on very well. I think deep down, we're all decent human beings. I think that's the main thing.
Deep down. Yeah, but like, how do you go about manage, because obviously when you see, if you can take to sports, like biggest clubs in the world, when you have these sorts of individuals who are motivated by like big numbers and all that, is that the culture you'd say that manages the egos, or like how do you?
I mean, you're probably better off asking Lasse this question, but I'm one of the guys. I'm one of them. I've been through the same journey as all of them. I'm still on that journey with them. I don't hold myself in any regard higher than them. And I think they sort of respect that. You appreciate that.
Yeah, I think when I see Victor, and also as a team, every time I think about Victor, I also think about this football coach, Ancelotti. And when Ancelotti when he was a coach at Real Madrid, I heard that the only thing that he did before the game was telling, a joke, because it was all about the mentality. So I think Victor is very good to hold the room. What I mean about hold the room, sometimes when we have bad days, Victor can just take it in. I can never have a hard discussion with Victor because he can just hold the room and take all the noise. So with not mention any names, but we have a guy at the team who maybe have a little bit of a long vacation, but Victor managed to kind of sort that out in a gentle style, so everything was sorted. So I think Victor is very good to kind of hold the room and let all of these different characters to just be on a prime. And maybe go outside of the rules and boundaries sometimes.
These are my brothers. I try my best to help them on a daily basis. I put an arm around them. I genuinely want them to succeed. They're not here as an employee. I want us to stay together for as long as possible. I want everyone to have a successful career, have a nice family, be comfortable in life, never have to worry. And that's my main aim. I think you guys might feel that from me also.
I think you, Victor, is a giver. Victor, he gives so much, There's small things like buying coffee, we need a driver. Victor never asked about anything from me. He just kind of give. And in the end of the day, he's a strong believer about the energy and the right team. So Victor is very unique character to just see us as brothers. And truly, he just wanted us to succeed in life. The most difficult part for me or people here is to be a part of the team.
Yeah. So how do you see, one thing I'm very curious about is like, how do you as a team manager, how do you take a look at for instance, let's say they have a bad month, you can see they are putting in the work and the results might not come instantly, they might be a bit delayed.
Yeah.
What is your, are there any KPIs that you're looking at, or are they?
I actually don't focus too much on KPIs as a numerical figure to trace, but I'm with them probably 12 hours of every single day. Yeah. So I feel it, I can see it. This job is all about pipeline. So it doesn't mean you're going to have a great month every single month, but I can tell when it's coming. Very easy for me to see. I can judge that very quickly.
How do you do that?
I can give an answer to that. Everybody have your ups and downs. When I have my downs, that was something about other people around the office. And Victor, even if you have a bad or good day, he just face you. He just face you every time. And Victor, normally when I start a sentence, he can finish it. So I think when Victor looks and each member in there for 2 seconds, he's he knows people.
So you're a people person.
Yeah. I'd say that's probably the main characteristic of how I manage. But to be honest, it goes back to the recruitment. The guys in the room, they're not necessarily going to have a bad day. The effort's always 110%. And I think it comes back down to the energy, and we can all spur each other on a daily basis. So they don't necessarily need much motivating at all for me.
Okay. One thing that you mentioned, or we spoke, Lasse, is your way of working with clients. I'm very curious about how do you try to differentiate yourself from other brokers? Because obviously, what I've heard from you is when you get one client in, they might come back again and again and again. So if you give them a good experience the first time, they will probably return to you. How do you try and separate yourself from all the bad experiences?
For me, it's an easy answer. I'm the oldest guy at the team. I'm 42. So of course, life experience, I think, is the main part. Even if you want to look into numbers when you want to do a real estate investment, it's also about a stomach feeling. I'm also very into, a lot of my friends is into psychology. So all of these things with people, I like that. So now, with all due respect, when I'm 42 compared to when I was 25, I think now I'm pretty, aware about myself. So the most important thing for me is just to say, hey, how is Lasse's tempo? If Lasse's tempo is okay, I just have to be myself and honest. And that is where I will succeed and I'll find my path with the clients who has some kind of, same frequency as me. Some I will lose, other people will be a part of me. I have done deals with my former boss. He was a boss for me for 15 years ago, and he bought from me last year. So I think if you're on the same frequency, you will always find these people. Just be yourself and be honest.
So one thing I'm very curious about, when you take a look at some of the brokers might have different processes. You okay with you doing it your way, you doing it your way. You don't have a framework, everyone has to do it like that. You make room for people to do it their unique way.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way. We can't do everything the same, but we may have a different journey, but we all have the same destination. And everyone definitely does things differently. If it isn't working, obviously I will speak about it. It doesn't mean I need to change it. It just might be something that we need to tweak.
I think this journey to be a part of a team, to have a successful team, is not only about learning new skills. It's mainly just important to be reminded. Mm-hmm. So every Monday, Victor is, taking, care of the team and just stand up and say, hey guys, this is X, Z, and I. This is with the numbers. That 30 minutes, just to be inspired and reminded, that is what we need.